High school is an important time for our state students. They start to choose courses and make decisions that are going to determine their future after high school. So that's why I'm here today with Mrs. Ziegler. She's an English teacher at Union High School in Tulsa. Mrs. Ziegler, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with us about the work that you do. We're really excited to have an opportunity to connect with you.
I'm excited to be here.
All right. Well, could you tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Sure. I have been teaching this is my 14th year teaching English. I have served as a high school English teacher at Union High School for 10 years, and then I also taught for 4 years out east in Baltimore. So I have a little bit of out-of-state experience as well. And I've taught a wide range of English classes, everything from on-level to integrated on-level to advanced and AP classes, as well as creative writing and SAT prep courses. So lots of diversity in my background.
Yeah, it's quite a wide range. And so you were attracted to come back to Oklahoma after teaching on the East Coast for a little while. What brought you back here?
I have family here and just wanted to live somewhere differently for a little while, and then came back and settled back into what I know and being near family, and family started to have children, and I wanted to be around for them, and so came back to Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma has a way of doing that.
Yes.
I found. Well, good. So what would you say kind of originally got you into the profession? So why high school? Why not middle school or elementary school? And why teaching overall for you?
So the journey to teaching was a weird one and a long one. I think I always knew I wanted to be a teacher when I was young, and I have two younger sisters. I would, teach them in the garage with my easel, and we would do letters and numbers. And so I think that was always a part of who I was, but I was deterred as I got into high school from education, just with the typical, you don't make very much money, it's a thankless job, all of the things that now I want to say are not true. And so I originally majored in a variety of things that I had zero interest in, other than the fact that they made money. And I quickly realized while going through undergraduate that my heart was not in any of those professions. And I actually took some time to recalibrate my life and figure out what I wanted to do. And that got me into coaching little kids softball. They were like 10 and 12-year-olds. And I would get so excited about building the lesson plans for practice that I just instantaneously knew that I needed to go back to school for teaching. So from there, I didn't look back. And I always knew I wanted to do be a teacher of older kids. I think that my passion lies in literature and in having those, deep conversations with young adults about what we can learn through literature. And so I just felt a gravitational pull towards high school.
Kind of combining your love of literature with your love of teaching.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. And not everyone has the courage to kind of make that decision.
Yeah.
It sounds like you kind of knew what you wanted to do and knew where your passions lie.
Yeah, I knew that there are lots and lots of professions out there that I could probably be pretty good at, and I'm able to talk to people, and I felt like that would be fine. But I am someone who needs to feel valued and that I'm doing something for the greater good of society in the future, and there is no better profession than teaching for that, I think.
So tell us the truth here. You said you heard it was a thankless job.
Yeah.
Or people thought, why would you want to do that? It's a thankless job. Mm-hmm. Is that actually is that true? Is there some truth to that?
I think that when you're in the environment, that's not true. When you're surrounded by other educators, when you're surrounded by people who know educators, there is sort of an awe that comes with people hearing that I'm a teacher, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, that's such an amazing job! Like we couldn't do anything without you guys." So I think that most people see the profession as really, really important. I do think that we are battling more of that kind of negativity sometimes. And I think that's just due to people not understanding what the profession is, what it asks of its educators, the fact that we're highly educated, highly skilled professionals, and that, kids are our future. And so what more valuable job could there be than working with kids so that they feel prepared for what comes next.
Yeah.
So
there's not a lot of jobs where you can have an impact every single day. And it seems like teaching is one of those jobs where you truly can impact a young person's life every day. That's kind of exciting. I can see that why that would be a driving purpose for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your students. I mean, how do you know, what are they like? How do you know when you're making an impact?
So like I've said, I've taught all different kinds of students. And I've taught students who I think are, because it's high school, they're more self-professed as like, oh, I want to go into the career world. I'm not as interested in traditional school. And then I've taught students who have gone on to get PhDs and are very academic focused. And so I think the commonality amongst all of them is that at their core, they're still kids. So they are still able to be excited about things if you're willing to build up that excitement. And I think that it's not as hard as people maybe believe it to be. I think that a 16-year-old still has, in fact, many of them have better senses of humor than I think some adults do. So they have senses of humor. They're, they get excited about things. They're passionate about things. They have opinions. And so when I get to work with them, I get to experience a lot of what they bring to the table that not a lot of people get to encounter, because I think it's very different. If you're a parent of a teenager, your relationship dynamic is obviously very different, and you really only have the interaction with maybe your child and their friends. But as a teacher, I am like a parent to all different kinds of kids. So I think I've learned as much from them as they've learned from me, hopefully, over the years.
Yeah. That's interesting. You don't often hear that about high school students. The images and I think the narrative around high school students is not an optimistic group, but you're saying they're very optimistic and very positive in some ways, but they maybe just need someone to kind of open up the door for them to explore their interest, to be able to leverage some of that optimism that they have. Is that right?
Yeah, they need people who get excited about the things that they're excited about, and show them that the interest that they have now demonstrates skills that they can apply to careers later. But life is not all about our jobs. And so I try to show them that part of what makes them unique and individuals are all of those fun things about them that bring the diversity to the classroom and bring the passion to the classroom. And like you said, I think that teenagers, I think in every generation get a bad rap, like, those rebellious teenagers. Yeah. But I think that's just part of kind of that demographic of kids. Like it's true in every generation. And that's what makes them interesting, is because they do think outside of the box and they haven't been kind of molded by societal expectations quite yet. And I want to encourage them to continue to be themselves as they get older, just with some skills that also help them be successful in the real world.
Tell me a little bit more about the challenges, because there's some great things about teaching that you've noted, but there's probably also some challenges that you encounter as well.
Yeah, when I think over the course of my career, it's interesting because there's challenges that you experience as new teachers, right, that are just tied to your novice status, like not knowing how to juggle grading and lesson planning and parent communication and student behavioral management. And so those things, as you gain experience, hopefully kind of start to remedy themselves. But challenges still exist, even as you get that veteran status and you've learned how to manage all those other things. I think that I hold myself to a really high standard of wanting to make sure that I'm not falling back on what I've always done. And so I am constantly looking for ways to improve my lessons, improve how I deliver them, improve student engagement by finding resources that are relevant, that they are interested in, that are still teaching the skills that they need, but aren't necessarily housed in a novel that was published 200 years ago. And so I look for, because of that pressure that I put on myself, I think that I do still find myself working a lot outside of school hours. Yeah. And that's, I think, probably one of the biggest challenges that you hear from teachers, is that the workload is extensive. And, if you are going to hold yourself to those kinds of standards and you do want to do a really good job on a day-to-day basis, it does require, dedication and sometimes out of class time dedication. So I think that's my biggest thing is I probably work outside of class hours quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, your students I'm sure, are benefiting from that extra effort. So it sounds like what you're saying is in the first couple of years, you're trying to figure out what some of your routines, what your procedures are, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel year after year.
Right.
But you also have to be current and fresh. So you are changing things from time to time as well.
Yes. Yeah, I think especially in a subject like English, and I'm sure this is true in other subjects as well, but we know the skills that kids need to be able to be effective communicators and critical thinkers, but how they develop those skills can evolve and should evolve, I think, with the times and with the way things are relevant. And so I really try to give students that opportunity because in my experience, if they feel a connection to the work that they're doing, the novel that they're reading, they are far more likely to actually gain the skills that I want them to gain anyways. So it comes with, and I think you get more proficient at that as you get further along in your career. And I think that's why my dissertation research is in veteran teacher retention, because I think the value that veteran teachers can bring to helping novice teachers learn the ins and outs of the job and the ways to be persistent and resilient come from the people who have done it. So they're your most valuable asset when it comes to that kind of retention. So
that makes a lot of sense. What is your hope like for the future when you see the kids that you're working with on a daily basis?
I think it's so easy to dismiss high school students because society sees them still as kids. So how could they possibly have opinions rooted in any kind of experience, at that point? But when I look at my students, I see hope in them. Like they have hope for the future. I think that some of the apathy or things that we hear people say about high school students is because it's our job to help them find what is their passion and also to help them feel like it's possible, because I think that is one of the other challenges, I guess, that we could talk about, which is that kids who don't feel like they can do what they would love to do because of this barrier or that barrier are the ones who I think by the high school age check out more because they just don't feel like anybody believes in them. They don't believe in themselves anymore. And so I see my job as an educator to find those kids and help them find their path and their passion, and know that like if they put the work in and they're willing to take advantage of as many opportunities as can come their way, then they can do what they want to do. So I think that that's just sort of a general like brushing off of teenagers without really considering like the whole picture that we as teachers get the opportunity to see.
What is something you would say to them? What is something they need to know about the profession as they're weighing whether it's something they want to be a career path for them?
I think, and this is another really, really big passion of mine, is working with future teachers. I've mentored a lot of teacher candidates who are going through various teacher preparation programs. And I think the common message I would send to anyone considering to becoming a teacher is that at the end of the day, it is one of the few professions that I think that if you find fulfillment in knowing that you are doing something that is in the service of not only kids, which is, in my opinion, kind of the ultimate form of service, but also just future societal progress and hope and positivity, then there's really no better profession. And so I know that for myself, I'm very motivated by those things. And I think that it does take a special kind of person to find that motivation and then to also hold on to it over the course of 10, 20, 30-year careers. But if they are people who look at themselves in the mirror and feel like I need to feel value. I need to know that I'm doing something that matters, and that I'm not just showing up for a paycheck every day. Then this is the profession for you.
Yeah. All right. So tell me a little bit about your life outside of teaching. I mean, you talked a little bit about spending some time, some significant time, maybe outside the classroom, grading papers, working on your materials for class. But what is life like outside of the school walls?
So I am currently in a doctoral program at OU Tulsa. So that is taking up quite a bit of time right now. I have a lot of aspirations to use that education in both still in the classroom and outside of the classroom one day. So that is part of it. But I also, I do triathlon, so I road cycle. I love to hike. I travel. My husband and I are going to Portugal for spring break. So I just enjoy meeting new people and enjoying new places. And so outside of school and outside of my teaching job, I am very much doing all kinds of active things. I don't sit still very well.
I can tell. So you work hard, but it sounds like you have some interests as well that you're able to pursue. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Portugal sounds fun.
Yes, I'm excited.
Well, good. Well, looking back, I think I got a sense of you and how you think about the teaching profession. But as you kind of reflect on this career path for yourself, has it been worth it to you? Is it something that you want to continue to do in the future? You have your thoughts on that?
Yeah, when I think about my whole career, I am lucky enough to, with social media being what it is, I'm lucky enough to be social media friends with so many of my former students, some of whom are now in their early 30s. And so I get to see a glimpse into where their lives are now. And I do get, the occasional message that says, oh, I just want to thank you for this or that, or this lesson that we did. I still, sometimes still pops into my mind. And
your former
my
high school,
former high school
they're
students
coming back and saying, I remember your lesson.
Yes.
And that's really cool.
And so I think those moments combined with just my own memories of my career, I don't think I would still be a teacher now if it wasn't worth it. I think that knowing that I was a small blip in their story, and knowing that for a lot of them, based off of feedback from them, that I'm a blip that they remember, then I think that's, you talk about the day-to-day purpose that you bring to your current students, but the life that has occurred for all of my former students, the lives they've built for themselves, is like watching your own kids grow up and go on and have amazing careers and families and traveling and being good people. And that is, I egotistically take some credit for that and find a lot of joy in that. So I don't think I could ever have done another profession at all.
Wow. Well, Mrs. Ziegler, thank you so much for your time today. And I know you probably have to get back to English class, but really appreciate hearing from you. And so thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.